about the possibility of there being a change maybe in the 3-point line and what the league might do because there have been so many 3-point shots taken. We'll get to that in a sec. First, I want to get to Dev in Manhattan, who has a problem with my A-Rod J-Lo situation. Dev, what's up?
Hey, Carlin, good to talk to you, man.
You
I've
too,
listened
dude.
to you a lot. It's cool to
Thanks.
actually talk to you.
Appreciate
But
that.
I think you're being a little too judgmental of A-Rod because, a guy like that, he's got a lot of options.
It's
like A-Rod,
J-Lo.
got,
It's J-Lo.
yeah, it's A-Rod. A-Rod's
And
at
it
the same
also
level.
is,
He's
by
on
the
a
way,
lower level.
disrespectful of women, by the way.
What
Listen,
about
listen, I'm not naive to the fact that affairs and all this kind of stuff happens, okay? Obviously it does. And I'm not being judgmental in it. I'm not condemning A-Rod for it. But what I would say is, I mean, at some point you got to grow up, don't you? And if you can't grow up when you're with J-Lo for well over 2 years and engaged for, they were together for 3 or 4 years and engaged for like 2. Like, what are we talking about here? Why are you even bothering to get engaged if you can't hold it together with J-Lo?
But if he was like that for the past 20 years, she knew she was getting herself into.
Did she? Did she at this point?
If
when you consider that she's J-Lo and it's unlikely that anybody's cheated on her.
Yeah, I mean, A-Rod, though. I mean, if you knew for 20 years, you don't think she knew?
Listen, I know that she didn't use, she didn't ask him, or he didn't ask her to use his phone to call his side chick, so to speak, back in the day, his woman on the side. So, listen, it's crushing. If these two can't make it work, nobody can. I've got nothing left to believe in.
Yeah, well, it's cool to hear your voice talking to me. So say hi to Kay and LaGreca and the boys for me, and Peter.
All right, Dev. Thanks. Appreciate the call. Andrew in Staten Island wants in on this. Andrew, what's up?
Hey, how are you? First time caller. Love the show. Love Michael Kay and their show. Basically, I just wanted to chime in on the J-Lo and A-Rod situation.
Yeah, yes.
A-Rod, always a cheater. He cheated the game of baseball, and now he's cheating the greatest woman alive, J-Lo. I mean, how can you do that?
It's fair. Always a cheater, exactly. That's fair. Once a cheater, always a cheater, or 5 times a cheater, always a cheater in everything in life.
Yeah. A-Rod is so successful. He should be happy with what he has, enjoy life.
Hey, look, he can obviously do whatever he wants. And I'm not going to stand in judgment of anybody. I'm an idiot too. I've made mistakes, and I understand that. I don't talk about that kind of mistake, but I understand that this stuff happens, and it's not that it's okay. It just happens. I think it's disrespectful, but whatever. What I would say though is it's just, why do you even bother at that point? Like, why do you even bother if you know that eventually your eye is going to be wandering? Why would you even bother to get engaged and to lock in with somebody? This is publicly embarrassing for her. Anyway, 800-919-3776. So, Brian, I want to get one of the sound bites from earlier today with Adam Silver and Michael Kay. And if we had the one in relation to the 3-point shooting, can we get to that sound? Do we have that?
Yep.
So let's get to that. Let's hear that. Michael asking him about the fact that the 3-point line is a factor because we're seeing way too many threes at this point in the NBA.
I think the game's in a pretty good place right now.
45, you're done.
And, I would just say go back and watch some of those games you're referring to. It looks a little bit like slow motion sometimes. I would only say the athleticism, the game is so different today. But I was fans of those teams too, so don't get me wrong. But I think our fans are responding pretty well to the quality, the aesthetic of the game right now. Having said that, it's like, to me, and I've thought about this because it's come up recently about moving the 3-point line. I think we have to look at it more holistically. It may make sense to move the 3-point line out a little bit more, but I don't necessarily think the mid-range jumper is necessarily more attractive per se than a longer range shot.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. And I actually heard him make the point with Greeny this week too, that Bob Cousy, among all people, made the comment that people don't understand the skill level of these players these days when they take these shots and how much they work on it, and really how much of a big part of the game that it has become. I do feel like the 3-point shot does get out of hand. We see it entirely too much from players that have no business shooting it. Okay? We all know that. Everybody wants to hit a three, right? But for the guys who are outstanding at it, and for the guys who are trying to grow their game and get better and expand their game, I totally understand it. And there's no doubt that it adds another level of excitement to the game. It's the amount of threes that are being taken that can be a little bit alarming. How about this statistic? In the history of the NBA through the All-Star break, and I don't know if this happened at all in the last 2 days, but through the All-Star break, there had been 61 games all time where two teams combined in a game to shoot 90 3-point shots. Combined at 90 3-point shot attempts. Okay? 61 times ever in NBA history. 45 of those times have come since the beginning of last season. So in essence, in a season and a half, 45 times that has happened. You can't tell me that the 3-point shot isn't out of hand in the game when that's the case. Now, how do we rectify that? Or do we even need to rectify that? Well, rectify is a tough word for me to use in this situation. I'd read a couple of proposals the last few days, and I'm certainly not creative enough to come up with one of my own. But one proposal was you limit each team to X number of attempts per half. And I don't know how you penalize it from there, but if they, take more than they have left, it ends up being a technical foul or something like that. And maybe it would allow the players a little bit more of an understanding of making it more valuable rather than just taking some bad shots down the floor. I don't love it because I do think it adds an element of excitement to the game. You want to make the game a little bit more exciting? Where we see Dame Lillard and Steph sometimes taking these threes. Bart brought this up yesterday when I was with him filling in for Alan on Bart and Hahn. And I kind of like it. How about a 4-point line? Are too many players going to be taking fours? Yeah, maybe. I don't think so, though. We're talking about at that point, it's like a 30-foot shot. I don't think you're going to see guys who have no business doing it at the level of guys that have no business shooting the three. But I do think it adds a lot to the strategy at the end of a game, right? And it gives teams a chance to stay in the game a little bit more later on. I don't hate this idea at all. A 4-point line at the 30-foot mark, roughly, at the logos, whatever you want to put it at. Really extend it out. I think that would be awesome, frankly. I really do. I've been thinking about it a lot since Bart brought it up yesterday on the show. A 4-point line would be amazing for the league. And you might start to think, well, what are we turning this into? The Harlem Globetrotters? It's going to be, teams taking 4-point shots all over the place. I don't think it would be that bad. And maybe you could put a limit on the number of fours that a team could take in a game. But and you save them for late in the game if you need them, right? If you're behind. I think that if you are judicious enough to be smart with it, or smart enough to be judicious with it, I should say, then you put yourself in a situation where if you're down 10 late, you're not dead. Especially if you're the Portland Trailblazers and you've got Dame Lillard, or you're the Golden State Warriors and you've got Steph Curry. Especially if you have a great shooter on your team, you're not dead. It brings your team back to life. I want to see the first guy that commits the dumb foul on the 4-point play to make it a 5-point play. Because you know that's coming. Like, you just know J.R. Smith would commit a foul on a 4-point play, on a 4-point shot. You know it. What do you think? 4-point shot? 4-point line? Maybe an enhancement to the game in the future? I'm stealing Bart's idea, but I kind of dig it. So there may not be changes to the 3-point line coming, but the one thing that sports are always having to do is find ways to adapt and to make sure that you have to keep the attention of the younger fan. I say bring it on. Bring it on. 800-919-3776, open lines. Right now, we will hit them shortly. We will also get to why it just became a lot easier for the New York Jets to get back in on Deshaun Watson. Why is that the case? In just moments, my friend.
It's Carlin.
Chicks dig me because I rarely wear underwear, and when I do, it's usually something unusual.
On 98.7 ESPN.
NBA Commissioner Adam Silver. I've been reading a lot of people saying maybe they should change the 3-point shot. Is that something that you would consider, or do you see that as a problem?
I think the game's in a pretty good place right now aesthetically. Having said that, it may make sense to move the 3-point line out a little bit more. We're not adverse to making changes, and I think you got to go about it very deliberately and cautiously when you do so.
Don't miss the Michael K. Show, weekdays at 3 on 98.7 ESPN. Amazon is now hiring in the Avenel, Edison, and Somerset areas. We are looking for team members who know that their work is important and that every package matters. Find a job that fits your life with competitive wages, reliable hours, and benefits. Let's work together, from boxing it up to sending it on its way. Every step offers a different role and schedule. So, are you ready to work together in your community? Visit Amazon.com/apply to see what's available. That's Amazon.com/apply. Amazon is an equal opportunity employer.
Fitness will always be about keeping a routine. And the best routines in life will always make time for enjoying yourself. Michelob Ultra, superior light beer. Enjoy responsibly. AB Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri. They say, trust the process. But if enjoyment isn't part of that process, don't trust the process. Michelob Ultra, superior light beer. Enjoy responsibly. AB Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
The garden is returning to life, and it's a thing of beauty. That's right, fans are finally back, and now you can get reunited with the sights, sounds, and sensations.
How about people on the stream?
In the world's most famous arena.
Kreider shoots, he scores! It's a hat trick for Chris Kreider! Oh, baby, what a night!
New games and more tickets are available, so get your tickets today at NewYorkrangers.com.
Life is hard these days, and everything's just a bit more difficult in general. But some things should be easy, like streaming your favorite radio station, 98.7 ESPN. But just in case you weren't sure how to do that, I, Jim the Voice Guy, will take you through the steps one by one. If you're working from home, piece of cake. The easiest way to stream 98.7 ESPN is to say it out loud. Hey, Alexa, play 98.7 ESPN New York.
Good afternoon, everybody. This is indeed the Michael K. Show. We thank you for joining.
Bam, you got us. And if you're more of an app person, head to the ESPN app on your smartphone. Click the More tab in the bottom right corner. Scroll down under the Listen tab and click Live. Select 98.7 ESPN. Click it and you're good. A friendly public service announcement to remind you that you can hear us anywhere.
I just got a top 5 compliment that I have ever gotten on Twitter. God bless you. At Chris Carlin to fire away with more compliments because I know you love me. You love me. You can also follow me on Instagram. That guy Carlin wouldn't kill you there too. Lots of riveting photographic content. But at any rate, this compliment that I got is amazing. From Derek Brandon Felix on Twitter. Listening to Chris Carlin is such a joy. The Chris Farley of sports radio. I will take that. I will take that. And I will take that in a big, big time positive way. Thank you for that. 800-919-3776. Get back to the Jets in just a second. I did want to follow up on the Patrick Ewing stuff that we were talking about earlier and the fact that you got security guards who may not know who a particular person is. And so I did get this note from one individual who works at MSG occasionally as a security guard and want to correct a couple of things. First of all, they do get paid pretty well, about $28.50 an hour for a 5.5 hour event. That's an hourly rate. That's obviously decent. And this person has worked there 10, 12 years and says, I dealt with Ewing a few years ago when I worked the locker room. My interaction with him was always pleasant. He can be rigid, yet he was surprised that I knew him and we were cordial. We aren't supposed to take photos with anybody. Ewing asked, that is a fireable offense if you ask to take photos with anybody. And I understand why. Ewing asked if I wanted to take a photo with him, and no way would I have turned that down. Of course. But he says that they are told, security guards, to treat everyone as if they don't know who they are. They don't know anybody famous in it, and they don't discriminate in that way, which I understand. This is why I have the bigger problem with Patrick in it. Because if you're Patrick, just put the lanyard around your neck, bro. It's not hard. I get it. You're Patrick Ewing, but shouting out somebody like that, you don't know what the reaction's going to be in the building. You don't know if that person could get fired when you're blowing up whoever that is, not the individual personally, but you're blowing up the situation publicly after your team just won a game. That's the first thing you're talking about. Come on, Patrick. Paul's in Newark next, 98.7 ESPN. Paul, what's up?
Yo, what's up, Carlin? How you doing, man?
I'm good. How you doing, Paulie?
What I have in mind in regards to what you were saying with the 4-point play, I don't think it should be initiated throughout the entire game. But how about if it was enacted or it started maybe like 1 minute at the 1 minute mark at the end of every quarter? That way, you could get some good offense and teams would be more enticed to play defense.
Yeah, I don't hate that idea. I don't hate that idea at all. Or maybe the last 2 minutes of each half, something like that. Present it like that. At least introduce it in a modicum of situations, smaller amount, so that you get used to it. But more than anything, it really adds to the strategy of the game. And it gives more teams a chance down the stretch. Like, for instance, Paul, is it just me, or would you rather see a team take a couple of 4-point shots with 28 seconds left or whatever than see a foul every 4 seconds and putting people on the line?
I would prefer to see the shots. Because
so would I.
You get both. You'll get some good offense, and you definitely see some teams, all right, now you have to play defense. Now you have to pick up, at the back of the court, like every time, because you don't know. Like, somebody could be hoisting it from half court and pick up the foul, So I definitely prefer to see that.
Yeah, as would I. And thanks for the call. That's a good idea if you're talking about introducing it. I like the idea of potentially asking the league to, if you want to introduce a 4-point shot, do it the end of a quarter or the end of a half, maybe 1 minute at the end of each quarter and 2 minutes at the end of the game, the end of regulation, something like that. And in overtime, you leave it out there. I could see that being a very workable situation. Nate is in Maryland. He's next on 98.7 ESPN.
Hello, Carlin. How's it going?
Good, Nate. How are you?
Good. I wanted to get your feedback on. The whole Michigan State sponsorship. I think it's by Rocket Mortgage, and I want you to. I think commonly people always argue that the NCAA can't pay student athletes, but yet they can exploit them, and this is also factoring in that there's a Supreme Court hearing, I think at the end of this month.
It's coming up, yeah.
About compensation. So I wanted to
for name and likeness and image, yeah.
Yeah, because I'm skeptical on the NCAA and how they operate, because I don't know if companies should be kind of accountable for this, because in a way they're also complicit because they keep, allowing this to continue. So I wanted to get your thought on it.
Nate, it's funny that you bring it up because I talked to some people earlier today about this kind of thing. And first of all, the NCAA hates the fact that Michigan State went and did this, especially right now before the tournament, but also with name, likeness, image being such a big topic right now. And they are kind of dragging their feet on it because they don't want to deal with that. So think about this for a second. If you're not familiar with what happened at Michigan State, the Michigan State Spartans men's basketball team will now be known as the Michigan State Spartans presented by Rocket Mortgage. Now, I don't expect every announcer on TV and everybody else to say that, but in their own building, that's going to happen. So it's not, Rocket Mortgage Arena. It's not any of that. It's the team itself. The players are brought to you by Rocket Mortgage. Players are going to be upset about that, right? Well, they shouldn't be, because a deal like this from Michigan State is actually going to strengthen the case of the players, of the student athletes, to get some sort of compensation, whether it's name, image, and likeness, and be able to, go out and sign autographs for money and all that kind of stuff. You need to be able to do that if you're going to do this, if you're Michigan State or other schools. And I guarantee you, a lot of schools opened up their eyes and they saw it and said, oh, that's interesting. We'll go do that. Another revenue stream. Because remember, in college athletics, 95% of the money comes from football in Division I. 95%, especially on the Power 5 side, right? So if you're going to have a team that is sponsored by somebody and the players are not getting paid for it, their whole case just got strengthened by that. It really did. They now have more of a case to be either getting some sort of compensation, something that makes them feel as if they're valued, some money, something to get going. Now, I know that people talk about the education and the value of it. There is one thing that I will tell you that has always aggravated me about that whole situation. I saw this primarily in college basketball and some in college football. There is not a player on a Division I bench, say for some walk-ons or some different guys. I'll give you a guy like Miles Johnson at Rutgers, who is an engineering major and is freaking brilliant. And I don't know if he's going to play basketball beyond college, because he does have a major future. And there are student athletes like that around the country, but they are obviously in the very small minority. That what I was going to say is there is not a player on a college basketball bench in Division I that doesn't think they're going to play professionally somewhere. And I'm talking about the 12th man on a bench that doesn't get off the bench. I'm not talking about walk-ons per se, or the guys that are just going out to do it because they love playing. Now, I'm talking about the guys that are there on scholarship. Every single one of them believes they're going to play professionally somewhere. And obviously they're not, especially when they can't even get off the bench at schools. I was at a practice once, several years ago, and there was a prominent NFL player at this practice. And it's not the practice that you think. Wasn't at Rutgers. And there was a prominent NFL practice from this school who was from the school at the practice. And he was kind of annoyed with the practice that he had just seen. And he went and told him, as the coach asked him to speak to him after practice, he asked him, how many kids here think you're playing in the NFL? And almost every hand raised. And he just laughed at him. You guys are out of your mind. You can't even get through a practice and do things the right way. And this is a star who has to bust it every single day and is trying to describe to these guys what it actually takes to make it professionally. And it was a wake-up call for a lot of these players that maybe football is not going to be the long-term answer, but there's not enough of those wake-up calls for football or basketball. So my point here is this. There is an in-between between getting more out of the education, but also being compensated when a school goes out and sells the naming rights to your team. Not the arena, the team. For student athletes, that just got a lot stronger of a case for them to get some compensation. That's for sure. And frankly, in a lot of ways, they should be. In a lot of ways, they should be. This is going to be a crazy few years. And don't be surprised, as one person put it to me today, if you have Luca Garza presented by the Iowa Federal Credit Union. Like, that's how you have to introduce him from now on, with the name, image, and likeness. It's not going to be what you think it is. It can absolutely happen and change in college athletics. It's going to be absolutely nuts the next few years to watch. 800-919-3776, 800-919 ESPN. Was Patrick Ewing dead wrong with how he handled the Garden situation yesterday? Of course he was. The Giants draft is as crucial as any as they have had in a long time. The Knicks had a night on Thursday night that is scary in many, many ways. We will tell you the biggest problem of all that came out of it, plus why it just got a whole lot easier for the Jets to land Deshaun Watson.
It's Carlin.
Adoy.
On 98.7 ESPN.
You're down.
It's hard these days, and everything's just a bit more difficult in general. But some things should be easy, like streaming your favorite radio station, 98.7 ESPN. But just in case you weren't sure how to do that, I, Jim the Voice Guy, will take you through the steps one by one. If you're working from home, piece of cake. The easiest way to stream 98.7 ESPN is to say it out loud. Hey, Alexa, play 98.7 ESPN New York.
Good afternoon, everybody. This is indeed the Michael K. Show. We thank you for joining.
Bam, you got us. And if you're more of an app person, head to the ESPN app on your smartphone. Click the More tab in the bottom right corner. Scroll down under the Listen tab and click Live Radio. Then select 98.7 ESPN. Click it and you're good. A friendly public service announcement to remind you that you can hear us anywhere.
Introducing Money Dots, a new game from the New York Lottery. Only $1 to play. And if you match with a dot, you win money. It's that simple. Want to know if you've won? Just check in store or watch the Quick Draw live show on our mobile app. Money Dots from the New York Lottery. Look for it where Quick Draw is played. Must be 18 years or older to purchase a lottery ticket. You must be 21 years or older to purchase a Quick Draw ticket where alcoholic beverages are served. Please play responsibly.
If I'm not commuting anymore, where do I really want to live?
While you handle life's questions, Merrill Guided Investing helps you manage your portfolio and invest for your next move with the option to work with an advisor at a low cost and minimum. Merrill, a Bank of America company. Visit merrilledge.com/investing goals to get started today.
Investing involves risk. Merrill Lynch, Pierce, Fenner & Smith Incorporated, both a registered broker-dealer and investment advisor, member SIPC. Investment products are not FDIC insured or not bank guaranteed and may lose value.
Have hip or knee pain? Reclaim your mobility with Heartspan Center for Hip and Knee Replacement. We've performed more hip and knee replacements than any private practice in the tri-state area. At Clean and Safe Holy Name Medical Center in Teaneck, New Jersey, we also perform same-day discharge joint replacements on eligible patients. Call 201-291-4040 or visit heartspancenter.com. That's HARTZBAND center.com.
For the ones finding new ways to ensure the job
What
always
else we
gets
got?
done.
People on the
For
street.
the
I've been
ones wearing
quiet
many
today because
hats.
I don't get to see the
For the
comments
ones who are
as
hands-on, even from far away. And the ones keeping business moving forward. We are Grainger, offering supplies and solutions for every industry, with 24/7 support and experienced staff at over 250 local branches. Call clickgrainger.com or just
come back here.
Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
What was really troubling to me about the Knicks on Thursday night in Milwaukee was the fact that they really, really just had nothing in the tank. And Julius Randle in particular had nothing in the tank. There's no Derrick Rose out there. There's nobody there to really back them up. And with Randle, when you have a game like he had, the Knicks really have no shot. We have talked about this, the very slim margin of error that the Knicks have, right? And yes, the second half starts with a brutal road trip, these 4 games, Oklahoma City next, and then obviously Brooklyn, the Sixers again 2 games later. They have their hands full. And as I was doing the show last night leading up to the Knicks and the Bucks, was talking about how incredible it would be, just a magnificent season, and one that frankly was well within reach to see the Knicks actually make the top 6 in the Eastern Conference. And it's not outlandish. It's really not. But what's also not outlandish is to see it go the other way, relatively quickly. And that can't happen either. So last night they come out, they get their doors blown off by Milwaukee. They're not the first. They won't be the last. They had beaten Milwaukee by 20 earlier in the season, so you know Milwaukee wanted to stick it to them a little bit, and they did. Julius Randle was absolutely terrible. And all-stars have bad games. It happens. What I'm really, really concerned about is the amount of minutes that Julius Randle is going to end up playing. And I've talked about this before, and you have Derrick Rose right now in COVID protocol. You don't have anybody really behind Randle outside of R.J. Barrett, and Barrett put up 20, but let's be honest about it. You can't put up 20 points like that and take it seriously in a game where you're losing like you did. Like, that's not that big of a deal to me. When you lose by 30 points and you put up 20, okay, that's great. So Randle plays 30 minutes last night. No big deal, right? Well, when you have a stretch where he's playing this season a career high in terms of average, around 38 minutes a game, and you are your team's number 1 offensive option, and you were also a big-time 2-way player, I don't care what kind of shape you came in, which is phenomenal. He's been great. This is not on Randall. I don't care what kind of shape you came in. You now have to be able to tell the coach, I need a little blow here. I need a little breather here. I need you to give me a break. And the coach doesn't even need to hear it. The coach needs to be able to see it. And this is truly what I worry about with Tom Thibodeau. Now, if you read Yaron Weitzman's profile of the early machinations here of the new Knicks front office with Wes, with Leon Rose, with Tom Thibodeau, what stuck out about Thibodeau? It's the idea of selling his soul to win on one particular night. Every night. He'll do anything he has to do to go and win a game. Okay, that's fine. But you have to also play this for the long term. And when you don't have anybody else behind Randall and Barrett, I'll throw him in there because he has had a terrific season, to really give you offense, and you ask as much as you do of your team defensively, you can't be surprised when you have nights like last night, and you have to remember to give your team the proper rest it needs. And that's why I was talking about before the break. If you sat Randall out in the game against Detroit right before the All-Star break, in a game that you were gonna, in all likelihood, win, and even if you lost it, what was that big of a deal? You would have really just given him a nice, fresh break. But he's going to the All-Star game. He's in the skills challenge. He's playing in the game. And you played him 42 minutes against the Pistons that night. 42 minutes. There's just no need for it. So they have to find a way to navigate this so they are not running guys into the ground. It's not going to work like that. 800-919-3776. Lonnie in Long Island is next on 98.7 ESPN. Hey, Lonnie, what's going on, dude?
Oh, man, Chris, my man, I love you, brother. I hope everything's well with you and your family.
You too. Always good to hear from you. What do you got?
Well, I heard you before I went to the house. I heard you say something. There's a chance how the Jets could somehow land Deshaun Watson. My ears, I almost had an accident. So I came back, ran back. Everybody's like, "What's the matter? What's the matter?" I said, "You hit the Jets." I heard something. They called and said, "I just want to come back to make sure I heard it right."
Well, here's the deal, okay? When it comes to the Jets and Deshaun Watson, it's becoming to me much easier for that to happen because the Texans have screwed this up so royally in so many ways. They have their head coach out there talking about a situation that he just became a part of and about how Deshaun Watson is committed to being a Texan, but he didn't tell him that. He just knows it because he is a Texan. So you had your coach out there over the span of 24 hours, Lonnie, saying that Watson's committed to being a Texan and that he's going to be our guy, to 2 hours later on a podcast saying, well, he's our guy for right now and we'll see what happens, to this morning saying he's our guy, but, you know, I'm only here to coach the team and there's a GM and he handles those kinds of things. So it has moved all over the place. And the Texans have screwed this up so royally that I have to believe the longer you wait here and the more apparent it is that he's got to get traded, the less you're going to get in return. They're hurting their own bargaining position. So if I'm Joe Douglas early next week, Lonnie, it's time to swoop in with the new league year starting and see where we're at on that asking price.
Okay, that sounds good. I don't mind giving up 2 number ones and 2 number ones next year or whatever. I'll give them 3, but I want to try to keep that second pick and move down a little bit and try to get that kid Pitts. Also, we get Deshaun Watson with this kid Pitts. I think we have a nice something going there.
Let me ask you this.
Maybe we could trade Sam Darnold. Maybe we could get a second or third. And
let me
that'll
ask you
be,
this.
More ammunition.
Let me ask you this.
Yes.
What is your threshold for what you will give up for Deshaun Watson?
What I would give him 2. I would give him a 1 this year and 2 ones next year.
So you'd give him 3 number ones and only one of them this year, which would have to be the 2nd overall pick.
Oh, that would hurt because then I don't have a shot at getting that kid Pitts.
No, you're not getting him. Listen, if you're getting Watson, I know, and thanks for the call, Lonnie. If you're getting Watson, maybe it's not 3 number ones and Quinnen Williams anymore. Maybe it's 3 number ones. Maybe it's 2 number ones and 2 number twos. That's a heck of a lot more palatable. And that price is dropping, and there are really 2 places that can afford, in terms of what they have to give back, to make this happen. And we know what they are. It's Miami and it's the Jets. And let's just say Deshaun Watson is not enamored with the idea of playing for the Jets. Well, if it comes down to playing for the Jets or playing for the Texans, I can guarantee you this. Deshaun Watson is going to want to play for the Jets.
It's Carlin.
Fat, drunk, and stupid is no way to go through life, son.
On 98.7 ESPN.
Every sandwich has bread.
You have a read here, Chris?
But these
yes.
go smooth.
And then you still have that Jets promo read. I think the Robert Saleh.
Best.
Yes.
All right, cool. All set for the read?
Yes.
Okay, cool. 15.
Dive into our wild-caught filet of fish. Right now, enjoy 2 filet of fish sandwiches for just $6. Price and participation may vary. Single item at regular price.
Friends, from the opening tip to the final buzzer, there are so many ways to bet on the NBA on FanDuel Sportsbook, America's #1 sportsbook app and an authorized gaming operator of the NBA. I like FanDuel Sportsbook because the app is so simple to use. They offer live betting throughout games, provide promotions, odds boost daily, and they have exclusive bet types, such as the same game parlays, where you combine multiple bets from one game into a single parlay. And once you win, they're going to get you your winnings in as little as 24 hours. Now, if you've never tried FanDuel Sportsbook, sign up today, and you get to place your first bet risk-free. Up to $1,000 back in site credit if you don't win. So, let's just say that you're looking at the Knicks and you're looking at the game in Oklahoma City. And you like the Knicks in the game, and you take the points, and then maybe you like Julius Randle to bounce back and you go over with his total points in the game. There's your same game parlay, baby. Download the FanDuel Sportsbook app, sign up with the promo code Carlin so they know the big fella sent you. That's FanDuel Sportsbook, promo code Carlin. You got to be 21 and older, present in New Jersey or Pennsylvania. First online real money wager only. Site credit non-withdrawable. Expires in 14 days. Restrictions apply. See sportsbook.fanduel.com for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Hey, what's is it up? Is it ESPN New York tonight, or is it the Weekend Wager?
Weekend Wager. I messed up.
Okay.
Weekend Wager.
No, I just want to make sure. That's fine.
Our insurance. Visit geico.com today. See how much you could save.
Have hip or knee pain? Reclaim your mobility with Heartspan Center for Hip and Knee Replacement. We've performed more hip and knee replacements than any
Coffee's
private
gone.
practice in the tri-state
I have been
area.
hitting the coffee hard today. I don't know why. Like, I just, the commute today, like, why is the commute? So I live, for those who are on the stream, I live probably no traffic, an hour 15 away from South Street Seaport, which is where I went the last couple of days to do the show with Bart. And so, you know, I went in the morning. I probably left the house. You know, the show's at noon, but I wanted to get there by 10, so I probably left the house 8 o'clock. Give myself 2 hours, right? And that was plenty to get there. Getting out at 2 o'clock
Call clickgranger.com.
Each of the last 2
or just
days.
Stop by.
Took me 2 hours and 20 minutes to get
Who
home.
get it done.
And I live all the way out Route 1 in New Jersey, so those who know it know what I'm dealing with.
With all those millions, a Cape May mansion could be yours. So take a chance on Powerball.
Stevie, I was drinking coffee earlier. That's what this is.
I'm Andy. If you don't know me, it's probably
Oh.
when he called Harry.
2:20 today.
Harry's came out of a
Brutal.
frustrating experience I had.
And it was a little bit getting out of the city, but it was mostly
simple.
wasn't even a turnpike really. That wasn't the problem. It was Route 1. It was
for as low as $2 each.
yeah, it was
We
the
care about
tunnel.
quality so much that we
The
just
Holland
crazy
Tunnel.
things, like buy a world-class German.
Oh no, you know what it was today? I know what it was. For some reason, there was an issue with the Holland Tunnel, and it took me over to Brooklyn through the Battery Tunnel to go through Staten Island on 278. And listen, you know that's a disaster.
Yes, I do know that.
Yes. I mean, listen,
plus free shipping.
I got to go over the
Just go to
Verrazano.
harrys.com
Just shoot me.
and enter 266.
Wow, that is what the hell.
That's Harry.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry.
So that's over the Verrazano.
Enjoy.
That is brutal.
Oh.
Here we go.
Just telling Brian Munguia during the break. Yeah, I went into the city the last couple of days to South Street Seaport to do the show with Bart to fill in for Alan Hahn, Bart and Hahn, weekdays 12 to 2, right here on 98.7 ESPN. And I filled in for Max Kellerman, weekdays 2 to 3, and 2 to 4 overall on 98.7 ESPN, 2 to 3 locally. But today, 2 hours and 20 minutes to get home. And for some reason, Google Maps said, instead of going through the Holland Tunnel today, why don't we take the scenic route, go through the Battery Tunnel, and take you over the Verrazano through Staten Island? Brian.
You have to pay for 2 tolls.
Listen.
Oh.
Are you paying going that way now on the Verrazano? Are you paying going both ways? I know it used to be just one way. I'm not sure if you're paying both ways now.
Yeah, I think it's like half.
Okay.
I haven't because since that rule change, I
Yeah.
have not taken the Verrazano as much. So you can quote me on that.
Yeah.
But maybe some Staten Island people call in could fix that.
Well,
could
listen.
address that. I don't know. But it's horrible. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it was rough. And 278 at 3:00 this afternoon through Staten Island's a disaster. Staten Island Expressway, you're killing me. It's 3:00. And we're in the middle of COVID. You guys aren't supposed to be going anywhere.
Oh, there's people there. Oh, there's always people in Staten Island. I could tell. At that time,
Yeah.
which I find a little weird because it's Friday, but I don't know, maybe a half day for some people.
I guess it's Friday and it's 65 degrees and people are thinking, let's get on the shore.
That might be it.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But
let's go to Atlantic City while we're at it,
Yeah. I mean, even, I don't even know what it's like in the casinos right now. I was out in Vegas a few weeks ago, and in the casinos, they have all the dividers up at the blackjack tables and the poker tables. Now, I played some blackjack because they only had like 3 players per table, where that's normally like 6. But the poker tables, it was full on 9 people, and everybody had their own little cubicle in there. Ugh. Anyway, 2 hours, 20 minutes to get home. That and Route 1 in New Jersey. Route 1 is the death of me. I still live way the heck out in Western New Jersey and right near the Bucks County, Pennsylvania border. From when I was working in Philadelphia, we never moved back up because, as you know, circumstances got murky. But over the last 9 months, and we do love it out here, to tell you the truth, and you get more for your money out here. But honestly, because of the pandemic, I've been doing the show at home, and this hasn't been an issue. And the last 3 days, I got a good dose of what that commute was like. I used to do it via the train when I was on daytime at the other place, and it wasn't that bad. I love being in the car. I don't love it this much. Lex in Queens next, 98.7 ESPN. Lex, what do you got?
How you doing, Carlin? I'm a big fan, long time. I'm actually going over to Verrazano right now.
Oh, Godspeed, son. How's the traffic?
There's no traffic at all. I'm driving the truck right now, so there's
Okay.
no traffic. I'm good. Yeah, and it's definitely two-way tolling now. It's awful. Absolutely awful.
There are 3 letters that I permanently wanted to remove from my vocabulary. BQE. I used to live in Astoria, and I would go to BQE all the time to Rutgers, and there was never a time when I didn't spend at least an hour on the BQE. Anyway, go ahead.
I can't. Yeah, so my point about the Giants is, you saying it's an important draft, and I think so too. But I feel like as long as we got Gettleman, we always gonna be rebuilding. Because to me, Gettleman is awful. I could list off all the cons right now, which is way more than the pros since he's been here. Faster than Dave Roethlisberger can name people who went to college. You know, it's just it's sickening, man. It's sickening. So I don't think we ever going to be great as long as he's our GM. Last year, I give all the credit to Joe Judge, even the draft picks. It just seemed like Bill Belichickian draft picks that he had all of a sudden. Like, Gettleman ain't do nothing in the previous 2 drafts he was here. But I just don't think we ever going to be great as long as he's the GM. And
listen, I get that. And listen, Gettleman has been bad. He's been bad as the Giants GM. You know, he's had a couple of hits with some free agent signings. He had a hit with Logan Ryan. He had a hit with James Bradbury. He had a hit with Blake Martinez. But I still believe that ultimately this is going to come back to Gettleman at the 2nd pick in the draft, not taking a quarterback at that point, and instead taking Saquon Barkley. I think that's what his entire Giants GM career is going to be about. If you don't have Daniel Jones develop into a franchise quarterback, which I'm not convinced he's going to, he's still got a chance. The fact that they would have passed up on Josh Allen, I'm not gonna hammer them on Lamar Jackson because 31 other teams passed up on him. I'm not gonna hammer them on Darnold, but the fact that they had a chance at somebody like Allen and it didn't work out, and they went with Barkley instead at a position that you just don't need to draft somebody that high. You just don't need to do it. And it's just painful to think about how that played out. And you've got those 2 guys, and yes, like I said, it's hard to really get on him about Lamar Jackson when 31 teams passed on him. But I will get on him about Josh Allen because that's one he should have seen. That's what he is supposed to do. And when you go back and you hear the comments like the hand of God, he's touched by the hand of God. I mean, you just get sick. You just get absolutely sick thinking about those decisions and how horribly wrong they went. This draft, as I said earlier, is the most important draft that the Giants have had in a long time because given what the situation with their salary cap is, they have $3 million in cap space right now. And they can do some maneuvering, but there ain't $25 million that's opening up overnight. And this free agent class is getting wider by the moment. So maybe they catch a break a little bit later on and get somebody on the cheap. Maybe. But you need this draft class to produce like none since 2007 to make this team better. You need a game-breaking wide receiver at the 11th spot who's ready to come in and contribute pretty soon. They need Jalen Waddle to be, if they're going to draft him at 11, to be dynamic right out of the gate. That's hard for a wide receiver to do. They need those mid-round picks to be contributors sooner rather than later. And I'd take you back to the 2007 draft for when that happened. It's got to be a draft like that. When Aaron Ross was a really good corner that year, you know, just coming in and helping. Steve Smith, Jay Alford, Kevin Boss, Ahmad Bradshaw. They were all huge parts of that Super Bowl team. And it's so rare that that happens, that you get that many guys, that you hit on that many guys in the draft. But they did that year. And for Gettleman, for the Giants to be a better team frankly, a playoff team, they're going to have something like that happen. Otherwise, frankly, the rest of the division, the Cowboys are going to run roughshod over this division. They may not do anything beyond that, but they're going to run roughshod over this division. You can't deny that the way things stand right now. All right, that does it for me. Up next, Anita Marks, the weekend wager, baby. Start writing down the plays. Get ready to go. Brian Mungia, outstanding job, my friend, as usual. See you Sunday, 12 to 3. Anita's next. Carlin, out. Stay handsome.
You're down, Chris. Good stuff, my man.
All right, brother. Thank you.
That was fun.
All right.
I loved it.
We'll,
A-Rod no mas.